turned smack rapper. Only smack rapper that you know is smack rapper.
Alright, we back. My expert opinion, the greatest show in the world. See how much better that sounds? It's like, oh, this must be lit. You know what I mean? Hit that like, hit that share, let everybody know you in here. Don't cost you no paper unless you're a mother hater. We gotta rock it today. Mec, what up?
Salute, King. Had an artist I was gonna shout out, forgot his name.
Forgot his name?
Completely forgot his name.
Well, since we got an artist in the building, you can shout her out.
Oh, we got plenty of artists in the building. I've been shouting her out before the camera started. I shouted him out before the camera started. I shouted Fee out before the camera started.
I think you forgot your name. What's your name?
She never told me her name.
Audrey Jackson.
See?
Audrey Jackson.
In the building.
Shout out to Audrey Jackson.
Philly in the building.
Philadelphia.
Philly in the building.
Philly.
Watch
You from
those
Philly?
notes.
Yeah.
Oh, shit.
See, I didn't hear
Dangerous.
anything that she actually did, but we had a video playing, and she let a high note go for no reason.
Just to let you know.
Just because. Like,
just-
a room full of tough niggas, like somebody just
just bow.
pull a 45 up, just
Yeah.
pull the front of their shirt up, adjusting their belt. You see this big
Right.
ass hammer?
Right.
She did that to everybody in here. Just for everybody looked over like, what the fuck was that?
Wow.
Yeah,
Well, you know, I've been schooling her for about a year now, so.
Well, it's diploma time. 'Cause that was nasty
That's what's
work.
up.
That was
That's
unnecessary, by the way. Nobody needed you to do that to them for no reason. That was unnecessary.
I'm
gonna fuck this nigga up.
Speaking
Got
of
murdered in
unnecessary,
the building.
Yo, Gat, how
What's
you doing,
up?
sir?
I feel good, man.
Everything
How
good?
you doing, sir?
Hey, man, you know, life's an adventure with me. So it's an adventure, man.
Yo,
So
man,
it's an
sometimes
adventure.
you gotta laugh through the pain, bro.
That's a fact. Today, we have a legend in the building. In so many ways, it doesn't even make sense to run down his accolades because you've been hearing the stories, you've been seeing the stories, you just didn't know who they were connected to. We got Rick Ross in the building. Y'all about to find out. You about to find out. So you're Franklin.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
Yo,
It's crazy.
for everybody who watched Snowfall, and everybody watches Snowfall.
Facts.
You met John Singleton about five.
No, as soon as I got out of prison.
As soon as you got out of prison.
We went and had lunch like immediately after.
what year was that?
2015, was it?
No, 09.
2009.
09.
Yeah.
Right. Wow. Because I saw the post of you guys standing together.
Well, that was at my screening for the documentary.
Right.
You know, we did the documentary Cracking the System, which was phenomenal. Stayed on the front page of Netflix for a year and a half. We don't know the kind of numbers it did. Netflix don't give up no numbers, so had to do crazy numbers. When me and John went to the screening together, and it just so happened that day that that was the day that my book sent me my first demo book. So I had like 10 books with me that I was just like ecstatic over. You know, there's an article that I did, and when I was in prison with a life sentence without the possibility of parole, and I've been trying to like knock off all of my predictions that I did inside that article. The guy was writing my obituary. If you get a chance, you got to read that. It's probably the best story they ever written on me. The guy came to the prison and he said he was writing my obituary. And when he was writing my obituary, I was telling him all the things that I was going to be doing, and getting my book out was one of the things. So that was like another notch on my list. So I was excited about it. John bought a book for $100. I was excited about that too.
Until
I was with Nick Cassavetes. We went to the Weinstein's office and we was pitching a TV series to them about my life, you know, about the Rick Ross story. And one of the assistants came out the back room with the article, was like, hey, Snowfall was just funded. This one is dead in the water. So they basically were saying that my story was dead because Snowfall was already funded. They was in front of us, and we wasn't gonna beat them to the screen.
Now you watched Snowfall, correct?
I watched one season. I've been kind of like biased against Snowfall, you know, because of what happened to me. You know, it's crazy because I was going through a lot, and John knew, well, not really knew totally what I was going through, but you know, I'm just getting out of prison.
Right.
You know, my mom's house was in foreclosure shortly after. Before the screening of the documentary. Because matter of fact, we actually filmed us moving my mom out of the house. I was staying with my mom, so we all was literally homeless for a few months.
Right. Wow. Have you spoken to John since then?
He passed, didn't
Yeah, he passed, but we seen him one day.
Snap.
We saw him one day. I don't know if Echo was with me or not, but Red the Grant had invited us to his party, and he had the party in the hood, and we go to the party, and this little chick called me and was like, "I'm trying to get in the party, and I can't get in." So I'm going out to let her in the party, and we going down the stairs, and here comes John, and you know, it was crazy. He you know, had one of those moments of like confession to God, you know, like, "Oh man, and I owe you money, and I'm gonna do this for you, I'm gonna do that for you, and this is my new phone number," and he never answered the phone after that though. But that was my last time talking to him. He died shortly after that.
Right. Unrelated, of course.
Yeah, unrelated. I didn't want him dead. No, I didn't want him dead.
Right. It seems like there's a pattern with that type of stuff. Your story being told in different ways.
Yeah, well, you know what? The way I look at it, you know, when you have something that is so rich, and sometimes I have to take myself outside of myself to talk about myself. You know, you really need my friends to really talk about the things that I do and how I carry it, because I don't really believe in blowing your own whistle.
Right.
You know, but I try to take myself out of myself sometimes, and you know, I just be like, how have you stayed relevant since the 80s? You know, I've been relevant since like 82, 83 is when people first started knowing about my name and talking about me and whatnot. So, you know, from 83 to right now today, to still be relevant is a feat that is hard to do.
Right. Now, of course, some of your relevance was definitely kept up here due to the success of the rapper Rick Ross.
Not really. No, I don't think. I think that he rode the wave. He jumped on. I mean, he did help.
Yes.
He did help, but I don't know if the story really needed him. Mm-hmm. You know, in '96, I was the most talked about person in the country when it was discovered that the CIA was giving me crack cocaine. I was on TV, every channel, you know, 4 or 5 times a day. So I don't know if the story really needed his assistant. I believe that we did more for him than he did for the story.
Right. But as far as the name, the popularity, those that are not familiar with the actual Freeway Rick Ross,
they know the
Freeway.
Rapper. Absolutely.
And there was Rick Ross.
Absolutely.
Now, have you met them in person?
Well, you know, I sued the rapper Rick Ross.
Yes, I know that.
I sued him, so we were in the room together.
Right.
But we didn't meet. Freeway is cool. We met many times, done shows together, and quite a few things together. So yeah, I met him, but me and the rapper don't have any relationship at all.
Did you try to reach out to him before you sued him?
Yeah, I reached out to him when I was in prison, you know, before he blew up. Matter of fact, he was in New York when I talked to him on the phone. Smooth Magazine. One of my guys used to write for Smooth Magazine. And somebody had came to me. I had like a book club when I was in prison. where we all read business books and we were studying business because we had decided that we weren't gonna get out of prison and do the same thing that we had been doing.
Right.
And one of the guys in my book club came over and said, "Hey man, this guy took your name." And when he did that, I got on the phone and I started calling around because you know I've been tinkering in the music business since the '80s. You know, the Alcoholics got discovered because of me.
Oh, shout out to that.
Shout out to the album.
Friends with King T, DJ Pooh, you know, all the West Coast guys, you know, very familiar with them. So I was already tinkering in the industry and I knew guys in the industry. So I started calling around trying to find out who knew this guy, you know, who knew who he was, because I felt that he should have got in touch with me and talked to me about using my name. You know,
Well, here's the question. Would you have allowed it?
probably I would have said no, you know.
Well, that's probably why he didn't do it.
But I could have changed my mind, you know.
Right.
When Michael K. Williams wanted to play my role in Kill the Messenger, he called me, and the first time I said was no. But me and Mike kept talking, and eventually I gave him my blessings, you know, even though they wouldn't take me on to the piece. You know, Mike wanted me to be on set with him when he was doing the piece, but they said they didn't have nothing in the budget for me. So I still gave Mike my blessings. So I don't know. I could have gave him my blessings, and you know, right now me saying no is probably from a different area than had I been if I would have been where I'm going to benefit from.
A different place before you sued him.
Right. It would have been a different place, you know. So you know, now I feel like I would have said no, but you know, you never know what's going to happen. You know, I was in prison. You know, wasn't necessarily struggling while I was in prison because you know I figured out how to make a little money while I was in prison, but for the most part, there was things that I wanted to do in life that I didn't necessarily have the finances to do at the time.
I see you gave Freeway your blessings.
Well, you know, Freeway wrote me a letter.
Right.
You know, and told me, man, I look up to you, and if you need anything from me, you know, I'm here for you. So when somebody do that, I mean, how can you tell a guy to do that? No. You know, it gives you all the respect and everything that you felt you had coming. You know, it's hard to tell a guy like that. No.
So if Rick Ross would have did the same thing, would it have been the same way as
I believe
Freeway?
it could have been. You know.
Is there a way to get past it now?
Oh, I'm past it already.
Right.
I don't have no ill will, you know, for him. Matter of fact, well, I even kind of been like a blessing to him without him even knowing, because you know there's guys in LA that come to me and want to do certain things, and I'd be like, hell no, you know, not on my behalf. You know, I ain't with that.
Right.
So, you know, it is what it is.
Now, what was you sued him because he was using your name?
Well, I didn't even really want to do the lawsuit, right? This lawyer came up to me and he was like, man, Universal owe you like $50 million. I'm like, what?
Who
I
told
would
you
have
that?
sued that nigga too.
The lawyer did.
50 years
Right.
suing that nigga.
Right.
Fuck
The
that.
lawyer came to me and said, man, they owe you like $50 million. You know, and he had numbers, how many records they had sold, and blah, blah, blah. And he's like, and I'll sue him, you ain't got to do nothing. It ain't going to cost you no money, you know. I'm like, yeah, go ahead. Motherfucker changed his phone number on me anyway.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Like, I felt disrespected by you changing your phone number. You know, you treated me like you treat one of them broads that, you know, a groupie or something, you know, like, I ain't no groupie, motherfucker. You use my shit, you know, to blow up.
Right.
And when the lawyer asked me, I was like, go ahead and sue him.
What was
Because you couldn't get to Universal and Warner Bros. Without going through him. You know, he had to be sued as well.
Oh, I see.
So what was the verdict?
I lost in court.
Do you remember what was the reason? Because people hear something like that and they think
statute of limitations.
Statute of limitations of the time that you would have been able to sue, you were past that time.
Correct. It was a judgment call on the judge. The way I look at it, I couldn't see this judge, you know, Jewish judge, she's gonna take money from some good Jews and give them to this drug dealer. I mean, when she used to address me in court, it was the drug dealer, the rapper and the drug dealer. Oh, the rapper and the drug dealer. You know, that's the way she announced our case in court. Right. So I didn't really, I never really cared about winning the lawsuit anyway. I'm gonna be straight up with you.
Right.
The lawyer came to me. He made it sound easy. Why not? You know what I'm saying? Like, what is it gonna hurt? But I saw other ways that I could win from the lawsuit. You know, like he did an article in Rolling Stone magazine, and I stole the article. They paid, I think they say $50,000 to get the front page of the Rolling Stone article, and it hit right during the time I filed a lawsuit. So all during the article, they talking about my lawsuit and him using my name. Right. So I saw other ways that I could benefit from the lawsuit. So, you know, I was like, okay, let's go for it. I can't lose on this. Mm-hmm. But I did get wound up in it, you know, once it got going, you know, I got to the point where I wanted to win. Because, you know, I like to win at whatever I do. Right. So I got kind of wound up and I started wanting to win. You know, I want to win this. Mm-hmm. You know, I don't want to lose. And then, you know, when we met, you know, with his little smirks and little comments that he was making, you know, during the deposition, made me want to win even more.
What were the smirks and the comments?
Well, you know, like he go around, he shake everybody. Even my lawyers, he shake the lawyer who wanted to sue him, shake his hand. And when he get to me, he kind of like, you know, turn away and walk away. So, you know, I'm like, okay. That's corny. Real corny.
That's
real
corny, bro. You using my name, G's.
And for me, it's just business. Right. You know, the lawsuit is just part of business with me. I'm not really tripping on. I don't take it personal at all. I don't really take really nothing personal. Right. I don't think nothing is personal. Mm-hmm. But for me, it's business. You know, if it's a way that I can push my agenda, then that's what I go for.
Okay. Now, TV series, movies,
books,
albums of your story being told. Where does your story start?
Where do it start?
Yeah.
Shoot, man, Tyler, Texas.
What was you doing out there?
Man, I was a kid when my mom moved from Tyler when I was about 3, maybe 4 years old. So, yeah, just a normal kid, man. As a matter of fact, Tyler just gave me keys to the city about 3 months ago. So wow. I was shocked that they even recognized who I was because I ain't really been there. But I did go back there and speak at a couple schools. But, you know, just a normal kid, you know, just trying to learn how to become a man.
And from there you moved to?
We moved to LA at a really critical time. We moved to LA right during the Watts riot, you know, when the Black Panthers and the police was fighting. So I got to see that. I got to see the Panthers marching. Even though I was a kid, I understood that there was a black and white thing going on, that these guys were fighting with the police over the way that they were treating us as black people. Right.
And did that change you?
Oh, absolutely, absolutely. It made me to probably where I am today. You know, I love black people. Even when we do fucked up shit to each other, you know, I still have to, you know, understand that some of the things that we've been through in our lives affect the way that, you know, the way that we treat each other. You know.
Right. So during that time, I don't know how much of a window it was. How long were you in LA before the riots hit?
Couldn't have been more than a year. Couldn't have been more than a year.
You just got there and everything turned up.
Man, it was fires and fire trucks and army tanks riding down the street. It was crazy.
How old were you then?
Probably like 4, maybe 5.
Yeah. Seeing all that outside, that didn't like.
No, it didn't really. It didn't really affect me. No kind of not no way that I really know of. My brother became. There was another group that was like the Black Panthers that was called the Us, and my brother became a Us, and he would take me to their rallies and whatnot, and I would watch them do their marches and stuff, and I wanted to march with them. You know how you be your older brother? That's my dude. Right. You know, that's my hero. You know, so whatever he doing, that's what I want to do. And that's really how I got into sports. You know, he played football, so I wanted to play football. Just so happened at that time I was too little. You know, they didn't want little guys to play football back then. So I turned to tennis.
So eventually, I'm assuming you got to a point where you were exposed to different things other than rallies and, you know.
LA was pretty smooth, man, up until about 70. 70 is about when I first recognized gangs. You know, at that time, I never really recognized that it was gangs in LA. You know, it was just like, I mean, you literally could just go anywhere and do anything, no colors, you know. But 70s, all that started to change.
70s, that's when the gangs started to emerge.
Right.
And the Panthers kind of like disassembled.
Well, the Panthers was gone.
Yeah, it was gone.
The police kind of wiped them out. They had a big shootout, not far from my house, you know, where they trapped about 7 of them in a house, shot the house up, set the house on fire, and killed everybody in the house. And we all knew about it.
How did your older brother and your mother explain to you what was happening as far as all this race stuff is concerned that you're coming up in?
They didn't really explain to me.
Even your brother, like going to the us meetings and the rallies, like nobody pulled you to the side and kind of said, "Here's what's happening." I don't think he really, you know, I don't think he really understood himself, you know, or really took the time out to learn. You know, it was kind of like, I guess, what the young people was doing, so he just got in, you know, just got in the mix. It's weird that there's like no material sitting around. So here's why we're fighting. Here's why we're angry. Here's why we're upset, especially to a kid in his formative years, falling behind his brother who's in this movement. Yeah.
I mean, it's outside, right? You're seeing it.
I mean, he's inside. He's in the building where the rallies are happening. He's following his brother. He's like, it's wild that nobody pulls the kid to the side, the little kid, and think next generation, hey, little man, here's why this is happening.
Well, you know, in the black community, we don't really do that with our people. You know, we don't really pass the game down anymore. You know, so often we allow our siblings to go without the game. You know, that's why so many of our businesses don't continue once the founders is gone. You know, the siblings don't follow suit. You know, that's my personal opinion.
That's true. I agree with that.
Because, you know, we used to do all the, when we got to LA, blacks was doing everything. Trash trucks, building houses, street workers. And now,
about the Mexicans,
that trade wasn't passed on, and now we don't have those jobs anymore. Those jobs are going to people who don't look like us. Who really we passed the game to. Because I remember when, because I used to build houses too. So I remember when the Mexicans only used to do the hard labor, you know, carrying cement, cleaning up, you know, packing wood. But what happened is they passed the game on to them, and now they're the electricians, the plumbers, the roofers, they doing all the work.
Right.
And we don't have any skills.
All right. The Panthers, they're gone. The gangs are emerging. What gangs are around?
Well, in my neighborhood, it was the Hoover Crips.
It was just the Hoovers.
At first. When I first recognized gangs, it was the Hoovers. A few months later, I found out it was another set called the Bloods. You know? Right. And then it was, as the years go on, then other people started following suits, you know, 60s and, you know, now so many different sets in LA that, you know, I couldn't name them all.
Yeah. At this time, what are you doing?
Well, I wanted to be a Crip.
Why?
It looked cool. You know, you got all these dudes hanging out together and they wrestling and they play football and, you know, they got the girls, the cars.
It sounds like the basketball team, not a gang.
It was like a cultural thing out there with that, though.
Yeah, in the beginning it was. You know, and this was before all the killing started. You know, they people wasn't getting shot down every day, and you know, there was no gang wars going on. This was just a group of guys who had decided that they were gang members, and you know, it looked cool from my point of view. You know, I'm only 10, 11 years old, so.
Right.
But lucky my mom wasn't going for it. You know, she wasn't having it. And shortly after that, they put a tennis racket in my hand. So without that tennis racket, I don't know where I would be. You know, because it would have got to the point. I understand that probably by the time I got 13 or 14, my mom would no longer been able to control what I was doing. And had I, matter of fact, one of my dudes that I ran with in elementary school just got out from doing 45 years for gang activity.
Wow.
It's wild to hear your foundation seem so solid. Like, there's so much family structure, there's so much stuff going on. You're doing what they always say we should do for kids, and give them something to do, to keep them off the street. You had tennis, you had an older brother, you had a concerned mom, and yet the story still goes the way it goes.
Well, you know, in my situation, it probably turned because I never learned how to read and write. You know, by me never learning how to read and write made it almost impossible for me to get a job.
Now, how did that? I don't know if you. How do you even answer that? Like, how did that happen? How do you fall through the cracks and that not happens? But people who would seem to be so concerned about you, nobody checked and said, "Hey, read this, or let me write this for you."
Were you in school?
This to you.
Yeah, I was going to school. I mean, you know, you can go to school and play your way through school, you know, with the teachers. You know, be good. Don't make a fuss in class. You know, wipe down the board. You know, when the teacher finished.
You must have cleaned a lot of boards, my man. Like, how did you?
I mean, you know, just do stuff that my teachers liked me.
Right.
You know,
He's quiet. He's nice.
and
He
that
fails
was
every test. But
Well, no. See, I learned how to pass the test when I needed to.
how?
I just copied the smartest kids in the class.
Oh shit!
So you was sitting next to them and kind of like, or you had it worked out,
and I was good with the teachers, so I could go to the teacher's desk and slide their paper off the table and fill out the answers. You know, you just
figured
find
it out.
ways to maneuver, right? You just find ways to maneuver.
But if you figured that out,
why not
figure out how to read?
Right.
Well, what I found out, right, when I was in prison
Mm-hmm.
and I'm writing my book, I want to know why I didn't learn how to read and write too, right? Because now I'm in prison, now I'm reading law books.
Right. Now you're reading law books.
I'm reading law books, a whole different language.
Right.
So what I found out is
Are you
that what they was
dyslexic?
teaching in school, it didn't interest me. Right? We needed money at the house. My mom was broke. We had rats, we had roaches, we had windows broken out. You know what I'm saying? We had cardboard up to the window.
Right.
There was days we didn't have food. Those were the things that I was interested in. I wasn't really interested in Jack and Jill, you know, going up a hill or what they was trying to get.
Right.
You know?
Right.
I'm trying to figure out how can I put some food on the table? How can I help my mama?
Right.
You know, and
Max was like, "Your son can't eat no book, dog." It was hilarious. Get money, nigga. That shit was hilarious, bro.
so I only figured out that had they been teaching me about money, I probably would have did way better in school. I read over 300 books before I left prison.
You said before you left prison.
Yeah.
Before I left prison.
Over 300.
Kids, that's not the place to learn how to read. Don't wait till you get there to learn.
Yeah, but if you're there, take advantage of it.
Take
For
advantage of
sure,
it.
for sure.
Because there's a whole bunch of them there. You know, right now I think we got about 1.4 million in prison right now.
Jeez.
So
You gotta stay out of here.
and statistics say 65% of the guys in prison can't read.
Wow.
We gotta get that
There's some in
fixed.
there for no reason.
There's a pattern there.
No, it's
So
definitely
most of the
intentional.
crimes in prison is economical crimes. People trying to make some money.
All right. Before we get there, so you figured it out. You figured out how to finagle your way through school up until what grade?
To the 12th.
Damn.
Damn, you're supposed to finish that.
12.
Well, once I got into high school, you know, I played tennis. So I was
Right.
on the tennis team. So now the coach got involved. with keeping me eligible.
Right.
He wanted me eligible. So now, not only would I be good with my teachers, but now my coach will go and talk to the teachers as well. Like, hey, we need a C. We need a C.
You were that good in tennis?
I was pretty good. I beat guys that was ranked in the world.
Nobody tried to pull you to the side, and none of these teachers who realized you couldn't read or write tried to pull you to the side. And
he didn't have a mech. You heard? He didn't have a mech, bro.
Just at, like, even the tennis coach, like, hey, you can't. All right, maybe we figure it out after school, something in between practice, something. Like, nobody.
It's just a situation, man.
I'm just asking. No, I'm not.
I mean, even if they probably would have tried to if somebody would have tried, I probably wouldn't have accepted it.
Word. Probably was hard headed. Like, I don't
it wasn't something I wanted. You know, I couldn't see the benefit of school. You know, I was always looking. One thing I can say, I've always been kind of a critical thinker.
Okay.
You know, like, what is this gonna do for me? You know, what am I gonna get out of this? And I couldn't see where school and reading was gonna benefit me. None of the guys I looked up to read.
None of them.
No, they didn't read books. No, they. Crips reading books? Come on, man. Them was all the OGs. They was cripping and pimping.
Right. So 12th grade, you're out.
Yeah,
College, forget about it.
Well, I wanted to go to college. I thought that I was going to be able to get through college like I got through high school. And junior high school.
You had a lot of confidence.
I did.
You had a lot of confidence.
And I thought I was going to go to a major university.
Got this pack for you. Answering those questions.
Wow.
All the guys on my tennis team all went to major universities. And I would go up to the schools and hang out in the dorms with them, and you know, we work out with the team and stuff like that there. So I figured that it was all gonna keep working the same way.
And when did that become a non-thing?
When did that shift?
In the 12th grade. In the 12th grade, I went on an interview with a coach from Long Beach State, and he was explaining to me, hey, not being able to read and write, you can't come here.
And you
It's not
just
gonna
chucked it, like, forget. All right, so next step is?
I'm back. Now I'm going back to the hood. Now I'm not playing tennis no more every day. I'm in the hood, hanging out with the guys I grew up with. So I went to a different school. I went to Dorsey High School, which is probably about 30 minutes from LA, South Central, where I grew up at. I mean, two different worlds. You know, South Central is dirt poor, and Dorsey is middle class. They still had some whites and Chinese, you know, going to school there. So it was a totally different world. Now I'm back in South Central though. So I'm hanging out with guys that's low riding, robbing, pimping, selling dope, and I got to figure out what I'm gonna do with myself.
Right. So, what did you do? Did you join the Hoovers?
No. I was too old for cripping then. I was 18 years old.
That's not too old.
Back then, it probably was.
Back then it was.
Yeah. For somebody with by me playing tennis, I've been in people that was multi-billionaire houses. You know, I played tennis in their backyard. I was little in high school. So the coach used to set me up with rich kids and their parents, where their parents would pay me to come over and play with their kids, you know, $20, $30 an hour. And I would just hit balls with them and work them out. So I'd already saw this and I wanted more. You know, I see these big old houses. They tennis court house, they had tennis courts in their backyard. And the house for the tennis court was bigger than my mama's house. So I'm starting to be like, no, I don't want what I'm seeing in the hood. You know, I want what I'm seeing in Beverly Hills.
Right.
You know, I want to, now that I just don't want to be drove home in a convertible Rolls Royce. I want a convertible Rolls Royce. I want a Mercedes Benz. And those desires just kept staying there. They didn't leave, even though I was no longer in a position, because I thought tennis was going to bring me all that. But when I was no longer in a position, I didn't lose those desires. I kept those desires there.
So you took the things that you saw, you created your ambitions, decided what you wanted. Tennis was no longer the option. What did you shift to?
Stealing cars first. My partners, who I told you I grew up with, they were already low riding when I came back. When I came back to the hood, they were low riding. So I go to a low rider's hop, what they call it in LA, where all the cars come together and the girls and everything. And I see it and I'm like, oh, I want one of these. So what I do, I did like I always did. I started going around asking everybody, how you get that car? How you get that car? I ran into one dude, and this in my book too. Most of the stuff is in my book.
Right.
And I ran into a guy named Dirty Benny, and he told me to come by his house. He started me off as his driver. You know, he would steal the car, I would drive it wherever he wanted dropped off. He'd give me $50. So
now back then, $50 could get you what?
I bought my first lowrider for $100.
$100?
Lowriders?
No, we talking about the 30-cent burgers and shit like that. Like that's what was going on at that time.
Shit.
Yeah, 35-cent tacos.
Oh,
you know what I mean? Like slice of pizza.
$10 now.
When money meant something.
Right. So $50.
Oh my God. You brought a car for $100.
Bro,
Convertible.
convertible.
A 66
What year was
convertible.
that?
It's probably like 78, 79.
Yeah.
Impala.
Yikes.
How many cars did you figure out it would take to get you what you wanted?
Oh, we started doing like 3-4 cars a night.
3-4 a night. $150.
But then I went from being the driver to where I learned how to start the cars myself. You know, he taught me how to start the cars. I got to where I could take the cars apart. You know, I could take a car apart. Me and him could take a car apart in like 45 minutes. We take everything off the car, 45 minutes. So Benny wound up going to jail. And when he went to jail, I just took over his whole operation. All the body shops that he sold parts to, I knew all of them. I had my own body shop. When 18, 19, I had my own body shop where I would take cars in, strip them down, and then take the parts. And the same thing that he did with me, I started doing with all my little homies. I paid them $50 to drive the car. So we would go steal 7-8 cars a night sometimes.
7-8 cars a night.
Yeah. I went harder than Benny did.
We about to turn this up.
Yo. Yeah, I
Get that lazy shit.
I put on rocket shit. I had like 3 or 4 drivers.
3 or 4 drivers. Wow.
Damn.
Okay. By this time, I'm guessing mama's okay.
No, she don't see me no more. I stay at my body shop. I'm living at my body shop.
But you taking care of mom.
Not really. No. I ain't really. Right now, I'm stuck on this car. This car got me like sprung. You know, like sick with it. Like everything I get go into this car.
Does she know what you're doing?
Yeah, I keep my car in her yard. Because, you know, you got to keep the car secure because they'll steal it. So I'm keeping my car in her yard, and she see me working on it and everything. She cool with that. She didn't have no problem. The first time she had a problem with me with the cars is when I started selling cocaine. But she didn't know that I was selling cocaine. I guess she had heard some whispers from the neighbors, probably talking about he was involved with cocaine. And so what I do is I start taking all my parts off my car, selling them. Because I started to understand that the more money I had, the cheaper and the more cocaine I could get. Because it got to where like I could go buy an ounce of coke from the valley. I was paying like $3,300, and when I get it back to LA, it was worth $9,000. So I want to buy as many of them as I can get. I'm taking everything I got, putting it toward.
And the more money you had, the more the price went down on it.
Yeah.
Right.
When did you decide to switch over from cars to coke?
Shit, when I got my body shop got raided.
Oh, so this is okay. All right, cool. All right, this ain't an option no more. You just move to the next thing.
Yeah, they raided my. It was crazy, right? We in there stripping cars. We got about 7, 8 cars in there. We stripping about seven of us. And my shop got the big window lights, you know, window roof, you know, where it let the sun in, so you don't have to use the lights during the daytime. And we see the helicopter with the lights on, flashing on our building, and like, oh man, they on us.
Well, what did you expect? Doing 8 cars a night.
They wasn't on us though.
After a month, that's 200 and what? 40 cars?
We tripped
gone?
ourselves out, right? They wasn't really on us. All we had to do was just sit still. So,
oh no.
Yeah, we think they own us, but they not on us. So we all go to the door. We come to a huddle. We like, man, let's everybody make a break for it. So we don't get away. And we don't know the police got the whole neighborhood surrounded. Somebody had snatched the lady's purse.
Had nothing to do with you.
Nothing to do with us.
Nothing to do with the cars.
But y'all panicked.
Not at all.
And they flushed you out.
We only like 18 years old, 19 years old. We kids. We ain't never did nothing like this before. This is all new to us. You know, I just picked this up. I picked it up and I brought it to them. You know what I'm saying? So they don't really know. They don't really know. None of us really know what we was into.
Right.
So we all get it though. We break. I break first. Helicopter put the spotlight on me everywhere I go, right?
Right.
I run, I get tired, fall out. They grab me, throw me in the car, take me around to the lady. Lady's like, oh, no, that ain't him. Then the police, they said, man, they like, man, this dude was running hard for some reason. So they asked the helicopter, where did he come from? They said, oh, he came from that shop. So they figured I was breaking in the shop. So, but I got the keys to the shop and we locked the door when we left out. So they was like, you breaking in that shop? I was like, no, that's my shop. They can't believe it's my shop, right? They're like, nah, y'all breaking in there. So they just go to the door, take my keys, open the door, search the building, see all the cars cut up. So they're like, oh, they in there, they got a chop shop going on. So they take us all to jail. And when I get out, I'm out on bail. My mom bailed me out. So I'm out on bail and I can't steal cars no more. So now I don't have no hustle.
No tennis, no more cars. Then there's...
So then one of the homies who went off to college to play football, he called me. He's like, man, I'm coming home. I got something I want to show you. So he came home and I've been hearing about coke already because all the pimps have been talking about it. You know, because I sell parts to the pimps too. You know, like they buy the grills, the tires and stuff for their cars. So I've been hearing them talk about it, but had never saw it. So he come home and he showed me cocaine for the first time. And he tell me how much it was worth. And he gave me a little sample.
You tried it?
Yeah, I took it, tried to sell it. And,
you didn't try it.
You didn't try it at all?
No, I didn't try it. Never. At that time, I never drunk a beer, never smoked a cigarette, had never saw weed. I'd seen people smoke it, but I had never actually seen what it looked like. I was a square already. You know, I was a tennis player. I'm still a tennis player, you know. I just ain't playing tennis no more.
Right.
So Rick, you're stealing cars. You're not a square. You're stealing cars and running a chop shop. You are not a square anymore.
Right.
Well, I felt I was still a square because I didn't really understand the business that I was in, you know. But yeah, maybe I wasn't a square.
You knew you were stealing cars.
No, I knew I was stealing cars, but I just didn't understand the magnitude that I was looking at 21 years in prison.
How did you get out of it? How did you get out of that? You got bailed out?
My mom bailed me out. I went down. I found this legal aid system that where you can get a lawyer for free. You know, they had
that's like a youthful offender or something like that, right?
Nah, I wasn't no youth. I was grown. 18 years old. You grown?
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
But I found this legal aid thing that they was doing where they had these lawyers that was in training. So I went down and I talked to one of them, and because I didn't like what the public defender was talking about, and I couldn't afford to hire an attorney. And I got this guy named Larry Williams to take my case, right? And he was like, so you gave me your keys? I was like, yeah. He said, they didn't ask you for permission to search your place? And I was like, no, they never asked me for permission.
Illegal.
He was like, we're going to beat this case.
Illegal search.
So he got it for illegal search and seizure.
Everything they find
There wasn't no warrants.
is irrelevant.
couldn't
Everything
do
they find, they can't present.
Yeah,
Right.
and they should have believed me when I told them it was my place. You know, it wasn't their position that, you know, this 18-year-old kid can't have his own place. And that's the way they took it. So the case got kicked out. But before the case got kicked out, I needed a hustle. So I started selling cocaine. That's how I started selling cocaine. The first rock I got beat out of it. The first tester that he gave me, I got beat out of that. But that guy brought me my first customer.
Mm-hmm.
And the rest was history. I mean, it went from that one customer to my boy Ali was in jail at the time. You know, Ali was my partner.
Right.
So I was still just being a runner for Mike, you know, the guy who brought it down from San Jose. Mm-hmm. And I was just doing it for him. I wasn't even making no money off of it. When Ali got out of jail, I was doing at that time about $300 a day. I was, you know, about $300 a day was coming through my little thing. And I told Ali what was going on, and I was like, man, from what I understand, you can get an 8-track for $350, $375. If we had an 8-track, we could start our own pack. So I was like, man, if you start the car, I'll strip it to get the money.
Right.
So that night, right after he got out of jail, we went looking for a car. And we found one. He stripped it down, got the wheels off of it, the front end. We sold them, got the $350, and that was the last time I was broke.
We're going to take a 5-minute break. All right. We back. All right. Well, we left off at, got to the point where you were making $1 million a day. How?
Well, you know, it started off slow.
Right.
You know, when I first started, it was $20 a week. You know what I'm saying? But I was determined to make it in this business. You know, I understood that I didn't have many options. You know, it was make it there or go to prison stealing cars. So
Right.
For me, it was making in cocaine.
So what was your daily regimen?
So get up and hit the block.
What time?
7 o'clock.
7 in the morning.
Mm-hmm.
You on the block. Till when?
1, 2 in the morning.
So you're getting about 5 hours sleep.
If that sometimes. You know, sometimes you stay out there all day. You know, maybe don't change clothes for 2 or 3 days. Same clothes, you know. It was, you know, it was a grind.
Right.
And I fell in love with it. You know, I fell in love with it like I fell in love with tennis. You know, you know, they say when you got addiction, you need another addiction to take that away from you. You know, cars have become that after a while, and then it became where the cocaine became that, where it didn't even matter about the money no more. I wasn't hustling for money no more. I was just hustling just to see how big I could get.
How big did you believe that you could get? Because we gonna get back to the obituary thing.
I don't know. I mean, you know, I had days I do 250 kilos.
250 kilos.
In one day, yeah.
That's crazy.
When did the CIA
And
get
and I mean, if you know, somebody they asked me like, who was the biggest between you and MATHHOFFA, and you know they compare to a lot of people, and one of the things that I understand, see, I had crooked cops come in my case. I had cops that the city was saying that they needed to find out who this guy was, this Freeway Rick guy who everybody in LA had been bragging about was making all this money. So they formed what they call the Freeway Task Force. And these cops were supposed to have been the most elite cops probably in the country. And their job was to track me down. But they couldn't find out who I was because of, you know, I don't drive a certain car. You know, I probably got like 25 cars, but they buckets, you know, like $5,000 cars, $4,000 cars. So I would just be driving a car and then I see one of them other cars. I park that one and get another car just to switch up. So I was hard to find. So these cops, what they did is they started planting drugs where they didn't need to catch you with drugs. They just wanted to catch you. And then they already had the drugs in their car.
Right.
So
then they could get a warrant. They could do all. They could.
They made up their warrants too. These cops, they made up their own warrants. I mean, these cops was probably the most ruthless cops that ever existed. You know, all these scars in my face. They did that while I was handcuffed. Let the dog bite me all on my legs. I got marks all on my legs while I was handcuffed. The dogs bit me up. So when they started playing like that, I couldn't win. You know, no way you gonna beat them if they got the drugs in the trunk of their car, you know, when they see you. And then they don't even have to catch you. They just say that they saw you drop these drugs on the ground. In my case, they didn't catch me. You know, I got away. I ran and got away from them. So what they did is they took pictures of the drugs on the ground and put in the police report that I dropped it. They saw me drop the drugs.
And you say you ran away. Like, break down that scenario.
Well, one night we was coming from a basketball gym and I had two of my guys with me and I was taking them to their car.
Oh, you ball?
Huh?
You play ball?
A little bit.
A little bit.
You know,
All right. Right.
I'm an athlete. You know what I'm
Right.
saying? You know, I was quick, agile, hell of an endurance. You know, my endurance was crazy. You know, from playing tennis, I used to run 5 miles every other day.
Wow.
So I had endurance. Didn't smoke, didn't drink. You know.
So you're coming from the basketball court.
Yeah, so I'm taking them to get their car. We passing by my tire shop and we see all the fellas hanging out playing shooting dice. It was like 20, 30 dudes on the floor shooting dice. And so I ain't saw these dudes in weeks because I know these cops, you know, put a thing out, they gonna kill me if they see me. So so I'm gonna holler at the fellas for a quick second. When we leave, the whole dice gang leave with me. It's like a mob of dudes come out of the place and you know, send me off. But I don't know, the cops are just coming from raiding one of my boys' houses. He in the car with him. He's sitting in the backseat of the car. And so he hearing the whole conversation. So it's crazy, you know, later on when me and him talking, he was like, man, yeah, they say, man, just pass by Big Palace of Wheels and see what's going on. This is what the cops is telling each other. They're just gonna pass by my place just to see, you know, what's going on. Well, it just so happened this night, I'm coming out the building.
Right.
When they passing by. So I go and get in my car because I got my car parked in the alley. So I jump in my car and we rolling. All of a sudden I see these cars coming behind me with no lights on. So I tell Ollie, my boy, man, somebody behind us with their lights out. So first thing he says, some jackers. So he pulled his strap out and he like, man, as soon as they pull up, I'm gonna give it to him. So we rolling. We pull up to the stoplight. He got his pistol held up. We got tinted windows. The cops got tinted windows. So they let their window down and you could see the badge on their jackets that it was police. And he knew the cops because they had just raided his house a couple weeks before. And he was like, oh man, that's that motherfucking Tomar. You know, Tomar said, he gonna kill you. So when he told me that, I just smashed, went through the red light. So we got a high-speed chase. We going through LA, high-speed chasing. And I know that I got to get out of this car fast because, you know, it's a steel car. So we know how the helicopter works.
Right.
So I know I got to get here before the helicopter comes. The helicopter coming. I already know the helicopter on its way.
Right.
So I got to ditch these cops before the helicopter get there. So I hit a couple corners and I just jump out the car. The car keep rolling.
Right.
I run through some backyards. I wind up getting away, jump on a bus, catch a bus. I get away. So my boys, who they didn't get out the car, you know, they like, we ain't jumping out no car. So they see the cop go in his trunk, take the kilos out of his trunk, sit him on the ground, and take pictures of him. They put on the news that I shot at the cops, I was armed and dangerous, and I dropped 2 kilos of cocaine.
Just drop them. Just,
Yep.
That's
so now
crazy.
they got a warrant for my arrest, armed and dangerous, all over the news. I'm all over the news. Every channel, they publish it. This is like 85. You know, my mom called me crying, boy, you gotta turn yourself in. She make me turn myself in. So when I get out, I can't sell dope in LA no more because I know that these cops is gonna do the same thing. If they ever catch me again, it's gonna be the same program. So
when you turned yourself in, you ate those charges?
No, I beat the case.
You beat the case.
I wound up beating that case. What had happened is I wasn't the first person they had planted drugs on. They had been planting drugs on all my crew. So what my lawyer told me to do was to hire a private investigator. So I hired a private investigator. I paid him about $100,000, and he was investigating the cops. While they was investigating me, he would be investigating them. He going to all the places they raid, everything that they do, he running it down. And eventually when they arrested me, we had all the evidence that he had against them. So I wound up beating that case.
Did the cops get in trouble?
Yeah, 6 cops went to jail, 35 got suspended.
35.
35 cops got suspended. 150 guys got out of prison.
150 guys got a...
Yep.
Did you put a lawsuit on them for that?
Yeah, I did. But yeah, my lawsuit was pending when I caught my federal case. So I settled out for $60,000. You know, I felt $60,000 was better than nothing.
Right.
The lawyer was like, it's gonna be hard for us to convince a jury to give me some money after I've been selling all these drugs and stuff. So I just took the settlement. But yeah, we wind up winning a small.
That's good.
So you're celebrating victory, but you know.
No, I didn't really celebrate that. I moved out of town. That's when I moved to Cincinnati, Ohio, and set up shop down there.
Right.
Cincinnati, St. Louis, places that I'd already been going where I knew the drugs was really expensive at. So now I didn't have to handle as much drugs. You know, like when I was in Cincinnati, I didn't even feel like I was selling cocaine no more. You know, I was doing about 45 keys a month, but it felt like nothing.
Right.
You know, like this ain't even selling. You know, it ain't 250 keys a day. You know, it ain't 100 keys every day. So I felt real good about what I was doing.
How much? Okay, you're making $1 million a day. Was it?
We're not making $1 million a day, but $1 million a day is going through my hands.
Right, it's going through your hands.
Yeah, that ain't my profit. My profit out of $1 million probably was like 200,000.
200,000.
So every million that I do, I probably would make 200, maybe 300 sometimes, according to who it was that was coming through. Right. You know, different people had different prices.
Right.
Damn.
But it's okay. So let's just say it's safe to say $1 million a week.
Profit.
$1 million plus
a
week.
Yeah, I was doing $1 million a week profit.
Is there ever a voice in the back of your mind that's like, I got enough to stop right now?
Well, it wasn't just me wanting to stop. Like, my friends wasn't ready. You know, they didn't have what I had. I saved my money. Like, I didn't spend my money. You know, I bought motels, junkyards, beauty salons, tire shop, phone stores. You know, I had stuff, you know, that I could quit.
Right.
You know, but my friends was just getting started. They didn't even have houses. You know, they like, man, we just getting started. They started late. You know,
right.
When I first started, nobody wanted to go in with me. You know, nobody except Ali wanted to be a part of it. They was like, oh, ain't no money in no cocaine. So when they got started, then they begging me, you know, like, man, don't quit. Where I'm gonna get my stuff from?
Where did the CIA come in at?
Well, they was in from the beginning, right? But we don't know they the CIA. We don't find out that until my drug supplier, who became my informant, set me up. And that's when we find out that he was a CIA operative. He wasn't a CIA agent because if you're a foreign nationalist, you can't be a CIA agent, but you can be what they call an operative. And the operative means that the CIA can pay you a salary, but you're not a CIA agent.
Right. But he was getting the drugs he sold to you from them.
Well, that ain't what they said. They said it more like this here. Ronald Reagan gave his boss $18 million to buy supplies for their army. They took the 18 million because it wasn't enough money, and they bought drugs. The airplanes that they was using to bring supplies to their army, on the way back, they put drugs on those planes. The CIA knew they were selling drugs, but they say they didn't sanction it.
That's crazy.
It's one of those moments you gotta like.
That sounds like a convoluted way of saying they would.
They turned a blind eye.
Yeah, they disclaimed knowledge that the drugs were coming back on the plane. Is what you're saying?
Yeah, something like that. I mean, they went as far as getting a letter signed from the Attorney General, because it's illegal for an agent of the government to know
knowingly commit
that
a crime.
somebody is committing a crime and not do something about it. It's because it's their job to stop the crime. So they went as far as getting a letter from the Attorney General exempting them from doing that.
So you, but you didn't find this out until you were set up and out.
So I was going to trial. We were in trial, and even in trial we didn't really know. We didn't understand the magnitude of it until this reporter Gary Webb from the San Jose Mercury News broke the story. Gary figured it out some kind of way. I don't know how, but he figured it out, and he brought it to everybody's attention.
How did you feel when you heard that news?
I didn't believe it at first. I was like, how the hell I'm gonna be involved with the CIA and Ronald Reagan, George Bush, the White House? Yeah, I'm Rick Ross, high school dropout, can't read, can't write, petty car thief, petty drug dealer. No way I could be involved with nothing this big. But after the CIA did the investigation and I saw the stuff that I just told you about, then it started to ring a bell that maybe we've been played
the whole time.
Yep.
How did you meet the operative?
I paid $60,000 to meet him.
Not knowing he was an operative, of course not.
I didn't care. I wanted good cheap drugs.
Boy, oh boy.
Operative, CIA, I didn't care. Y'all bringing me some good drugs, I want them.
You would have cared if you'd have known he was working with the government.
I don't know if I would have cared or not.
That reckless?
I mean, we done already bought drugs from me. He could have arrested me. He wasn't arresting me, so I'm with it.
You didn't get any of the perks of working with the CIA.
None. I missed some good opportunities.
Were they ever presented to you?
He presented me with a lot of opportunities to make a lot more money, but I was making so much money. You talking about a guy who had never been out of the country. The most I've been to was places I was selling dope. I've been to Chicago, Texas, Louisiana, Cincinnati, maybe here a couple times. So I never really been nowhere. Now they talking about going out the country and they want me to bring all my money out of the country with some guys I know. I fuck with you, but I really don't really know you. You know what I'm saying? I met you over a $60,000 handshake, that I did with somebody.
Right.
So now you're talking about me going to Mexico and Colombia with all my money, where I lose all my power. In South Central, I had my power. I felt like anything happened in South Central, I could handle it.
Or what did they want you to bring your money to Mexico for?
To buy dope.
To get the drugs, my God.
Where's the... Pardon me for not being a drug dealer. I'm asking questions.
I'm just saying.
No, it's
It sounds spooky a little bit though.
that and I don't know. I take into account the era that you're talking about, and I know that in certain time frames, especially in the Black community, drugs weren't the monster that they are now. A lot of the hustlers would have drugs at the parties, and it was seen as a real recreational thing.
Right.
That's why crack hit the way that it did. Did you, when coke becomes crack, Were you were still involved when, right?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Coke becomes crack, and you see the effect that crack is having versus the effect of Coke. Did it shift your conscience a little bit when you started seeing?
Well, you know, it took some time because when crack first started, you don't see no effect. And I don't know if there's really a difference. The difference that I know you can tell right off the bat from crack and powder cocaine is that most people who use powder cocaine, they snort it, and they can only snort so much. Crack, they can smoke that shit all day long, and it ain't gonna really do nothing to them. You know, they ain't falling out. They're not ODing, so they would spend more money smoking crack. But guys who smoke powder and like cigarettes and weed, they would smoke that all day long too. So, you know, the government tried to make this big difference between crack and powder, but I don't really know if there's really a big difference. Both of them is highly addictive, and people they just do it as much as they can.
Did you start to see like the neighborhoods deteriorate?
Yeah, that took a while though. You know, and not really deteriorating, but you know, they turn into tracks. You know, when everybody stand out on the street selling dope, and it went better before it went worse. You know, now you're seeing everybody with new cars, and you know, they drinking, they eating, they barbecuing. It's like a big party. You know. Right. But I did start to notice people who had good jobs started to quit their jobs. Now they want to be on the street hustling all day, you know, so they can smoke all day. Girls started to turn tricks, you know, who used to wouldn't turn tricks. So you start to see all that, but it takes a while. It doesn't happen in 1 year, 2 years. You know, it takes this build up that they go through before you can see the deterioration. I think in LA right now, the effect of crack is really showing right now more so than it ever did.
Throughout the generations.
Yeah, because you know all the people who own, you know, blacks we used to own South Central Los Angeles. Now, all those houses are gone. You know, other people are owning those same houses that blacks used to own, and you know, I credit it to the kids of the owners of the house. When they gave the kids the houses, they just sold them, you know, for whatever reason. And there's so many of them staying in cardboard boxes and tents and all kind of stuff. And, you know, I think that's a derogatory of the crack era.
Yeah.
How
along with some of the other drugs too, you know, with crystal meth now, and the fentanyl, and so much, you know, stuff that people do to get their mind off of reality.
Did it feel intentional?
I don't understand what you mean by that.
The fact that these drugs were concentrated in South Central, and you were being used to sell this to the people around you, and now years later, the neighborhood's not owned by black people anymore. The businesses are gone. People in cardboard boxes. When you look back on it now, in hindsight,
do you feel like you were part of a plan to destroy your community?
Well, you know that, and that's been argued too, right? A lot of people argue that because they say Gary Webb, in his article, said that was a purposely intentional thing, and I don't think that's what he meant, or that's what he said. I think he's saying that that's what actually happened. You know, whether it was intentional or not. It happened that way. But that's $1 million question. You know, did the government intentionally do it? I mean, you know, you figure you want to get rid of a certain class of people, you know, young black males. The easiest way to get rid of them back then was let them all sell crack, you know, and then you can just round them up. Right. And that had become our economical system, you know, get into the crack game. So I don't know if it was intentional or not. You know, I've never really made a comment on how I felt about that, but that's what actually happened. Whether it was intentional or not, you know, I couldn't say.
You talk about the white neighborhoods, you had access to, that you would go to from time to time. You figure those people are making more money. They got better jobs. They live in better houses. If you're going to sell cocaine/crack to people who can afford to buy more of it, would have been focused in that neighborhood versus the one where people who all have a bunch of 9-to-5s and they're working, city jobs and state jobs.
Yeah, well, I was more intentional. Mine was intentional. I intentionally taught my friends how to sell crack because I knew that would allow me to be in more places than just myself. So I didn't have to go to the white community to sell crack because I sold enough just to my friends. So that was my reason why I didn't go to the white areas and try to sell. I don't know. I made enough money. I was greedy at the same time, but then I was also understood that this was enough for me. That I was happy with what I was doing.
Right.
That's got to be a bold statement when you look back on the aftermath of what you were doing.
Right.
Like, I know at the time you were happy, but when you look back in hindsight, that's got to look crazy.
Did you ever feel guilt?
You know what? It's guilt is a tricky word to use. And I did this article in Chicago, and the girl put it the best. No, I could never put it the way she put it from talking to me, and she said, "No regrets, only lessons." So I learned from what I did, but as far as saying that, I wish I didn't get into the cocaine game, I can't say that.
Right.
I had fun doing it. Matter of fact, I love doing it. It made me who I am today. I wouldn't be who I am. I wouldn't know what I know about so many things that I do without actually being in the cocaine game.
What would Rick Ross exposed to the stock market look like?
Probably multi-billionaire. I feel that any business that I go into, that I can conquer it.
Right.
And part of that confidence comes from selling drugs. Drugs gave me confidence. At one time I didn't have the confidence to believe that I could be a millionaire, or I never saw $1,000. So being in the drug business put me around a certain caliber of people too. The people that I started associating with was more upper class, was doing things. I failed in high school, but drug addicts taught me how to use the triple beam. In science, I didn't learn how to use the triple beam in science. They taught me on the street what 1/10 of a gram was, what 1/8 of a gram was, what 1/4 ounce was, what a kilo was. So the drug business taught me a lot. How to deal with people. I use some of those same skills right now. I believe those skills are transferable
into other fields.
Absolutely.
Right. Can you give me 3 skills or 3 business practices that you took from hustling cocaine that you applied to something else and it worked?
Well, one of the main things is treating how you treat people. When like right now, if I run into some of the people that I used to actually sell crack to, that smoked crack, because I had a rock house at one time. I had a place where people would come to my house, and it was a 3-bedroom house, and then it would be somebody smoking in that room, somebody smoking in that room, somebody smoking in that room. They come in the living room, they buy the dope for me, and then they go in the bedroom and smoke.
Right.
If I run into one of those people treat me like I'm their lost known brother, because they say that I never degraded them when they was going through their lows. Sometimes people would treat them just. I've seen people just. Matter of fact, I just ran into a young lady last week. A quick glimpse of her story. She was 14 years old. She had 9 or 10 younger brothers and sisters. Her mama would only come home on the 1st and the 15th to take the check and leave. And she said that she took care of them by coming to my rock house, behind rocks, going to sell it, feeding her brothers and sisters with that money.
Right.
And she was so glad to tell me that story because she said she don't care what everybody else saying, that she was able to take her family from that.
Right.
So when you look at, it's just so many scenarios to this game that you can't, peg it in one hole and say, oh, this is how it is.
Was her mother on drugs?
She didn't say if her mom was on drugs or not.
Or not. Okay. Because if mom's was on drugs, then that's the same set of circumstances.
Correct. Absolutely.
And you'd still be the person behind creating the scenario where this young lady is now making lemonade out of the lemons.
Well, the mom is the person who's using the drugs is the person that's creating that problem.
What?
You have to let everybody take their own responsibility. Because if you keep giving responsibility to somebody who now if you took a gun and put to their head and say smoke crack, then you had to take total responsibility away from that person. But if you go out and you do it on your own free will, if you go out and seek this, then you have to take some of the responsibility yourself.
Right.
I rarely come at drug dealers, period. Whatever kind of story I'm doing, whatever piece I've been writing, I've rarely attacked a drug dealer for selling drugs because I've always felt like everybody makes their own decision. And again, I've never seen a drug dealer beat somebody in the head to do drugs. People, 9 times out of 10, found their way to the drug deal and did what they did. They asked for what they got it. Whatever came after that, but this is what they wanted to do.
Correct.
Totally understand that. With that being said, no twinge on the conscience, no feeling of guilt when the lessons you've learned, the money you've made, the status you've acclaimed, the fame that you've gotten, the notoriety that you have, all came from the actions of doing this thing that turned out to be horrible. Let him answer.
Yeah.
Horrible for your people.
And I gotta.
Let him answer this first, though.
Well,
you're phrasing it the wrong way.
Let him answer, then kick back in. Let him answer. He understands. Let him answer.
But just let me break this down to you. When you hustling, it doesn't work that way.
I don't want you to answer from that point. I
just
want to
telling
hear
you,
this from him.
The way you would phrase that is there anyone that you cared about that you wish never did drugs?
That's not what I wanted to know at all.
Otherwise, you're going to get the same answer.
But let him answer.
Okay, cool. Yeah.
For the love of God.
Well, to your answer, I definitely had a conscience. I definitely understood that there were people that benefited from it, and there was people that lost from doing it. And that's why I eventually quit from doing it, because I understood that people suffered in order for me to win. Mm-hmm. So hopefully I answered your question on that.
Were there anyone that personally?
Absolutely.
Who was it?
My kid's mother, my cousins. I had uncles, aunties, brothers that was on it.
And that's what made you?
Well, I saw the hypocrite in myself.
Yeah.
You know, I started to see that I was being a hypocrite by saying, oh, don't sell to her, don't sell to him, but I'm selling dope to everybody. So, and that's how I eventually quit selling drugs.
It wasn't the jail?
No, I quit selling drugs a year and a half before I went to jail.
The cops were still on you.
Jail don't stop people from selling drugs. Guys sell drugs in jail.
True.
Yeah, and over the telephone, you can sell drugs over the telephone. You know, you can still make moves. So no, jail didn't stop me from selling drugs. I stopped selling drugs on my own, and had been planning on quitting selling before. Even before that, I had thought about. When I went into the drug business, though, I went into the drug business with Superfly mentality. I don't know if you ever watched the movie Superfly, but Superfly got out of the game. Mm-hmm. And when I went into it just like he came out. My intention was to do the same thing he did: get in,
have an exit strategy,
and get out.
Right.
And that's why I bought businesses. You know, I didn't buy the Rolls Royces, the Ferraris, and stuff. I was buying things that would get me out of the dope business. I thought.
Do you still own some of those businesses?
No, I lost everything.
Damn.
I got out of prison. I had $200.
$200.
$200 when I got out of prison.
How did you get
and
out
I made
of
that
prison?
money from jail.
How did you get out of prison?
How did I get out of prison?
Yeah.
Well, you know, I had the crooked cops on my serious case. My most serious case was with the crooked cops. That was the one that they could have really like stuck it to me.
Right.
I got a case in Cincinnati. Like I told you, I was only doing like 49 keys a month, something like that. The deal was for 49 keys anyway, but I was doing about 49 keys a month. So we made a deal for 49 keys, period. It was normally the feds, they attack, oh, you've been down here for a year, you've been doing 49 keys, so we're going to charge you with 500 kilos of cocaine. But we made a deal where it was only going to be 49, period. That had a cap of 10 years. The cops got arrested. They wanted me to testify against the cops. I agreed to testify against the cops. So I got the time cut from that. My newest case, as soon as I got out from that case is when my informant, who was a drug supplier, my old drug supplier, set me up. And I got a life sentence from that case. I beat that case because they say I had 2 prior convictions when I discovered in the law that in order to have a prior conviction, you have to go to prison, get out, commit a crime, get out, and then do it a 3rd time. Mine was when I caught my case, they just took me from state to state. And after I lost the first one, I just pleaded guilty on the rest of them because it didn't matter. They wasn't going to increase my time. So I found a law that said there's a thing that's called continuous criminal spree. Right. So mine was a continuous criminal spree where I'd never been brought to my senses. So
you never had the time to rehabilitate.
Right.
Rehabilitate.
Correct.
Okay.
So they only counted as 1 conviction, and for 1 conviction, the most they could give me was 20 years.
When you found out that you could do that, how did you feel?
I felt vindicated because when I was going to do the crime, I'd already made up my mind, you know, that I could get a life sentence. But I was like, I don't give a fuck. I'd rather be in prison than out here broke on the streets. And that was the mindset I came. But you know, they had broke my willpower. The government had, you know, for 6 months they kept dangling, you know, 100 kilos of cocaine in my face every day. And you know, I'm out. I'm trying to build this theater, and I needed some money. So
what do you mean dangling 100 keys in?
Huh?
What do you mean dangling 100 keys in your face?
Well, my informant called me and said he had 700 kilos and that I could get 100 of
them. You considered it?
No, I went to get them.
Rick, what made you hustle so hard? Like,
oh no, you know I'm from the country, so my family they hustle hard down there. They haul puckwood and hay, and I used to volunteer during the summer to go down there and work with them. I would volunteer to go work in 120-degree heat in the wood with mosquitoes and ticks and scorpions and snakes, and I volunteered to go down there every year so that I could make me some money. And that's when I was like 12 years old.
12 years old. So from 12 years old, you were doing that. So I guess everything else after that was like, oh, this is easy.
Yeah, stealing
Ain't no
cars,
scorpions.
taking cars apart was easy.
Ain't no scorpions in the car.
Exactly.
We good.
Money was that important all this time?
For my whole life, because you know I was without. You know,
Right.
I saw my mom without. You know, lights get cut off, and no food in the refrigerator. So money became important to me. I understood that when you have money, that you had all those things, and I wasn't going to see my younger brothers and sisters, you know, go to school with holes in their tennis shoes, and if I could help it.
Where is it stand now? Your money, where is it on the list of importance to you as somebody who's had as much money as one person can?
Well, now I'm chasing legacy right now. You know, I want my legacy to live on. I done had, you know, I had everything that I want. I passed all my dreams. You know, when I started in the cocaine business, I wanted $5,000. You know, that's all I wanted was 5,000. So I went so far past my dreams that it was crazy. You know.
All right, we skipped past something. There were 2 other skills. You said the way you treat people.
Yeah, that's the most valuable skill that you can have, though. It's how you treat people.
Right.
Study the business. You know, like with me, when I played tennis, I didn't have a tennis coach. So what I used to do is, with my friends who had tennis coaches, I would go and sit on the bench and watch them take lessons. And I would learn from what they was taught. So the next lesson would be study your game. You know what your game is. Say, for instance, I understood when I first started selling cocaine, I couldn't make any money because I didn't know nothing about cocaine. But at the end of cocaine, I could tell you what an ounce of cocaine was going for in Chicago and Houston and
all
over the country. I knew what it was worth, you know, because I studied the game. So I would say that would be number 2. 3. What's number 3? Save your money.
Save money.
Save money. Money make money. You know, they say that they say you got to have money, make money, but we get little money, but we're not able to take little money and make it grow.
Right.
And what I did in the dope business is that I learned how to take a little money and make it turn into big money. You know, basically the same thing I did in the weed business. That's the same thing I do in the weed business right now.
Right.
You know, I took a little money. I took $500 from my book sales, and I said, you know what? I got enough books. What I'm gonna do with this 500? Boom.
Boom.
They took me to a weed fest, and I saw it, and I said, okay, I'm gonna invest this $500 in the weed, and now I own a dispensary.
And now you own a dispensary.
And I was this close. I was this close to have my own grow that would have made $3 million a month. I went on a trip like right now today, and we were gonna hang the lights that Monday when I got back. When I got back, somebody had broke in, stole all the carpet wire, all the plumbing out of the building, and disrupted my thing. But I had it set up to where this building was gonna be making $3 million a month.
Wow,
that's crazy.
Back to selling drugs.
Weed is not drugs, though.
Weed is. Let's not do that.
It's not drugs.
I'm surprised I thought there was a holdup where you couldn't have a prior conviction and still get a license.
No, it's different now.
I broke that.
I don't know.
I broke that. I'm the one that started that in California. When we had our rallies, and they didn't want convicted felons to work in the weed industry.
Yeah,
and
I remember hearing that.
I spoke on why they should be working in the weed industry. You know, without people going to jail for drugs, it wouldn't be legal right now. It would have been, no, it's illegal. That's it. Check case, and we're gonna leave it like it is. But so many people stood up for their rights because they believed that they had the right to smoke marijuana and sell marijuana, that it broke the will of the governments, and they broke down and they allowed it to be legal. And that's the argument that I argued to city council.
Good shit.
So to compensate for the time you took away from people, they gave out licenses to people who were convicted for drug charges.
That's how the ones in here, you know,
Right.
in New York opened up, convicted felons was first in line.
Right. Wow.
That's what's up. It still looks like the business is dominated by people other than us.
Oh, absolutely. Well, they've been in the business. You figure these people have been in the business for 20, 30 years, and where the cops targeted us, they didn't target them. Like, I know a guy, he's probably maybe the biggest indoor grower maybe in the world or United States for sure. He got 14,000 lights hung, and he's never been arrested. None of his people ever got arrested because they never targeted him. So all those years, they just collected money.
Have you ever asked why not? Why you're targeting and he wasn't?
Oh, you already know, because the cops look like him.
And it's that obvious, but no one says anything.
I mean, who's going to say something? If we don't say nothing, why should they say something? You know,
I know why they don't say anything. They're getting over. But when it's so blatant, I say all that, it feels like the conditions these days are just becoming more and more blatant. Where before it might have been a hush hush and maybe not, and maybe this and maybe that, but now it just all seems super blatant, and they're not even trying to hide it. And when we get forced out of a business that we've always been on the bad end of, we've always suffered from, and somebody else does it, it's this blatant, but nobody's doing anything about it.
Well, that's gonna fall on us. We gotta do something about it as a people.
What can we do?
Well, the first thing we gotta do is we gotta come together. You know, we're too separated, we're too unorganized,
divided.
One of the things that I said when I first came home is that we as Black people, we give away everything. We don't demand anything for what we give. We give our money away, we give our votes away. We just freely give our stuff away, you know, and we don't make other people pay for it. When we go to other people's parts of town or city, they make us pay to be there, you know. But we allow anybody to just come in and just get whatever they want out of our community. And I think that until we stop doing that, they're gonna keep running over us.
What's the plan? You good?
I just wanted to do that.
You just wanted to do that. All right. So, so what now? You have the weed company. You have the books. Boxing.
Start my own TV channel. They teaching me now how to sell TV time, how to sell commercials. You know, when I started doing the boxing, I saw the way that you could undermine the game, and it was with streaming. So I was trying to buy a streaming truck. I don't know. It's just crazy how my life works. You know, I think about something, and then you put your mind to it, and it just comes to you. You know.
Yeah. What is that? Like what makes you believe like, okay, I can get here?
I don't know. It's just something about everything that, like, I knew I was going to jail before I ever went to jail. You know, I used to ask my girl, right?
Yo, that was
no,
crazy.
believe this here.
Right.
I'm telling you, this is a fact.
Right.
I used to ask my girl, you gonna run when I go to jail? And this is like 2 or 3 years before I ever go to jail.
Right.
But I already know that it's coming
down
the pipeline. And even though I quit selling dope a year and a half before I go to jail, I still wind up going to jail. Right. So in my life, I just figured out that once I put something in my mind and I really, really concentrate on it, I get it. Like, I'm gonna get another grow. It's like right now, I'm looking at other grows right now, people losing their grows, and like I got the best, right now I got the best fucking grower in the whole world. I'm so proud that I got him. Now I just got to get another building. And I know it's gonna be another building gonna pop up sooner or later, you know. So I'm stack my money the best I can, do all the things to prepare, because I know another opportunity is gonna pop up. And when you set your mind on something, then it just comes, you know. Like with the boxing, Floyd Mayweather picked me up from the halfway house, and I'm thinking he picked me up because he genuinely saw who I was, you know, saw how I think. And knowing that I'm an asset. I didn't know that he just picked me up to taunt the rapper.
Oh, shit.
Right? I don't know that's why he picked me up, because he's trying to taunt this rapper.
Right.
You know.
At least did he give you a bag for it? Use me, nigga!
For another day. We're going to do that one another day. So, but after I find out what his intention was, you know, I called him on the phone one day, and I'm like, man, since you don't want to work with me, why you don't just turn me on to Al? And he says that
Al Heyman.
Yeah, Al Heyman. You don't take nobody to the plug. And so I said, shit, I'm the plug. So I said, you know what? I'm gonna become the plug of boxing. So that's my goal right now, is to show Floyd Mayweather that he fucked up. You had the plug and you let him go.
Right.
So, you know, that's why I got the young boy from New York here that I just signed, probably my best fighter on paper that I ever signed. He right here from y'all town, so I hope all y'all support him. Can I bring him in?
Yeah, definitely.
Come on in, come in. Let me introduce you to him.
Good.
National champ.
Yeah, what's up, everybody? My name is Raleigh Bourne. I've been 3-time national champion. I have over 180 fights, and I'm gonna be the best in the world. Y'all gonna see, man. Y'all gonna see it. 3-time national champion.
Oh, let him finish. Yeah.
Even though I'm a 3-time national champ, that don't even equate to how much times I should have won. I've been to the finals facing the best in the country, so I already know I'm gonna be the best.
You're the best.
How many
in the world.
W's? How many W's?
Some
How
of
many
the best.
W's?
I don't even know my record though. I have like 180, 190. I don't even know. I just know I'm gonna be the best. That's it.
So we need all y'all to check him out. And my goal with him is to make more money than Floyd Mayweather made. That's what I want. I want him to make more money than Floyd.
Right.
That's my goal.
Yeah. Y'all check me out on IG, Young Vegan Boxer. You know, we about to change the world, man.
That's what's up.
Keep going.
That's what's
Yeah.
up. That's what's up.
Do you feel like your lifestyle birthed a lot of our favorite gangster movies? South Central.
Yeah, like our gangster rap.
Rap and movies.
If you go do your research, I've probably been talked about in more rap songs than anybody living.
You, Big Meech.
No, Meech ain't. They just started talking about Meech.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
They've been talking about me since Mobb Deep. South Central Cartel was talking about me in the 80s. Master Spade. Old gray haired granny ain't here no more. She OD on them for 4. Oh, you go to the dope man, you get an 8-track. You spend $300, you get $900 back. That's me talking about.
Wow.
So you talking about in the 80s, they was talking about me in the 80s.
Right.
So as
Meech
far as
came
being
out.
relevant, you know, I ain't knocking Meech. Meech did his thing. But he's not as relevant as, he's more relevant with these hip hoppers than I am. But I was a featured story in Esquire magazine's 80th anniversary. They said over Obama. They put my story over Obama winning the presidency. Esquire magazine said my story had more effect on America than even him winning the thing. And these are facts. So, you know, when you look at that, you say, what is it I can't do? And it's crazy, right? Because one of my partners, we were sellies in the joint, and he gave me my first Esquire magazine. When he gave me that magazine, I said, man, I'm going to be in this magazine.
You should teach philosophy, business. Like, there should be a school where you just
They should be allowing me right now. This country should be allowing me to go into every single prison in this country because I can show the guys in prison how to do time. And on top of that, the guys listen to me. Guys in prison love me. I'm talking about, I done went in prison and they was like, you could hear a pin drop. It's what the guards told me when I left. Like, man, we ain't never saw him like that there before. Because what they did is they know what I went through. They know my story. They know I started from jail. They know my story.
Right.
They know more about my story than people on the, because you know, people on the street ain't reading no magazines. They ain't reading no books. These guys reading, they got time to read and study. So they analyzing everything that happened and they see what I'm doing and they know what my goals was. So, you know, when you're doing it like that there, they need to put me there. But, you know, maybe if Kamala Harris wins, she might say, you know, we're going to create a budget and send Rick to every prison in the country. We're going to throw that out there. We're going to throw that out there.
That's what it is. Yo, thank you for gracing us with your presence, your mindset, and the heart. You went from being someone who watched his mother struggle, and you took that and carried it throughout your life, and you're still carrying it. And now you're influencing younger brothers to carry it also. Salute.
Thank you.
Rick Ross, y'all. We here.
It's Hoffa, trapper turn smack rapper. Only smack rapper that you know is smack rapper.